Hello, and welcome everybody. If you're just joining in, say hello in the comments and tell me where you're watching from because we're going to talk about something I call the business in a box. And if you've ever wanted to start an online business but thought, I don't know what to sell, I don't know what to post, I I don't know how to build a funnel, I don't know technology that I need, and I don't know how to get customers, then stay with me because I'm going to show you the ecosystem behind the business model that I use, and I want to clear up anything from the beginning. When I say business in a box, I don't mean opening a box, push a magic button, and money starts falling out of it. So that's not how businesses work. But if you're joining in, drop in the comments where you're coming from so I know who I'm talking to. One live I did, I had, I think, 23 different states and I had some people from Canada. It's always nice to see, where people are coming from. So we're talking about uh, business in a box, what I use to build my business, and it's really a simple, just going through it was awesome. So not how a business works is you still have to learn. You still have to create content. You still have to talk to people and you still have to develop the skills and you still have to be consistent. But what I mean by business in a box is that you are not starting with a complete blank piece of paper and trying to figure it out and piece everything together online so it all fits together. There is a framework and there is an ecosystem. And so I want to talk about, I'm going to go through what the ecosystem is piece by piece. So then everybody gets a better understanding. I know from experience, those who are joining us right now, we're talking about what I call business in a box. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever bought a course, watched a bunch of YouTube, TikTok videos, saved 500 TikToks, and somehow ended up more confused than when you started? PM me, put me in the comments if you can relate to that. Yes, I'm getting a lot of me's. I'm getting a lot of me's. Oh yeah, exactly. Because information is not always the problem. Sometimes the problem is that we have too many disconnected pieces. So we have a course over here, we have social media over here, an email tool over here, a funnel over there. We have a product somewhere else, and we're trying to figure it all out. How does all of this actually become a business? This is what we're talking about today is because I was that person. I had that shiny object syndrome. I was watching YouTubes, I was watching TikToks, I was, all over the place. And I came across um, the Legacy Builder program 2.5, almost 3 years ago. I've not promoted it. I bought it as an educational tool for me. And I was working in corporate America, and I don't want to say secretly, but I worked on it in the background learning the process so then I could create things of my own. And I have, like I said, the shiny object syndrome. I mean, I have built or I have purchased other courses out there, but I always came back to the legacy. And the reason is because the legacy actually, when I'm talking about like the business in a box ecosystem, it actually teaches you how to actually build a sustainable business. And I'm not talking bad about the other courses because I have them and I use them as a reference as well. But the other like courses and stuff, they're just teaching you how to make money online, different segments like Amazon reviews and all. You still have to build up by doing these products, UDC, all that kind of stuff. This This ecosystem here, actually, I could earn and learn why I was learning, and that is why now this same ecosystem that I'm going to the business in a box that I'm going to talk about, that there, I mean, I now have a sustainable business and I have built my own products and I have built my own training courses and I have created my own community and things like that over the time, even still working in corporate America. So that is building a business takes work. It does. It compounds. Everybody, like with the other courses that teaches you different income, if you don't have any success after 30, 60, 90 days, you stop and then you feel like you're a failure. So, hey, if anybody's joining us right now, uh, comment where you're from and let me know where you're coming in from. We're talking about business in the box. So, why this matters to me is I want to tell you why personally I spent 35 years in corporate America. I did what many of us were taught to do. Go to work, work hard, build a career, be responsible, keep climbing. And then my corporate job ended in one day, less than 24 hours, after 35 plus years. So that experience forced me to look at something I think a lot of people over 50 are starting to realize. A job and a business are not the same thing. A job can provide an income, but when the job stops, the income then stops too. And I started thinking differently. What could I build that belongs to me? What skills could I learn? What could I create? And how could I knowledge, with my knowledge and experience I already had to build something for my next chapter? That is a huge part of why I created my brand Second Act. So I bought this ecosystem, like I said, 2.5, 3 years ago, and I have quietly learned the system. And when I lost my job in corporate, I was so blessed and thankful that I had this in my back pocket because working as long as what I did, and that's the other thing too. Here's another personal fact about me. I was a single mom. I raised my kid for 19 years. It was just me and him. And in that 19 years, I battled breast cancer. So in the last 7 years, I've battled breast cancer twice. And like on the book of faces yesterday, up the memory 2 years ago about, I had to have emergency June 11th of 2 years ago, I had total reconstruction, double mastectomy, total reconstruction. A month later, July 11th, I had to have emergency surgery because the left side was was failing and it was not healing. So I ended up having to go back in for emergency surgery and have everything removed on the left side. So then when I went back again in August for the checkup of this side was burning and my body was starting to reject that side too. So, long story short, I got tired of being poked and prodded and I said, "Hey, just take it. Let's just go on with life." But and I was working secretly building this learning how to do an ecosystem because that is how you build a business. And this here is exactly a build business in a box. So if you're just joining in, we're talking about different ecosystem that I use. I call it my business in a box model is what I call it. So I worked in corporate America. I've single mom, and I've job loss now, and I am so grateful and thankful that I had this in my back pocket so I could go on and and do this so that I could build something for myself. I believe that your first career does not have to be your final chapter. But when I discovered this, I was like, could I really do this? It felt really overwhelming. Everybody tells you to start a business. I get that. But then you start asking questions. What am I selling? Who am I helping? What do I say? What content do I create? How do I collect leads? How do I follow up? How do I turn followers into customers? What happens after I get somebody's email? And that's where the ecosystem becomes very important. This business in a box. So think about think about a traditional business for a moment. You just think of restaurants, okay? They don't just have food. It has a location, it has a menu, it has marketing. You have customers that come in and out. They have employees to run that business. It has a system. It has to have a way to get people into the door so they can come and eat, but then you have to have a way of serving them. And hopefully it has a reason for them to always keep coming back. An online business is the same way. You post on TikTok, and that is not your entire business. You have products, that's not your entire business. You have an email list, and that's not your entire business. You have a webinar, that's not your business. So those are pieces, and those are powerful pieces that are connecting, that connect everything. So here is the ecosystem I want to walk through tonight. On one side, we have, product, message, story, content, call to action. And then on the other side, we talk about your email list, weekly webinars, becoming a customer, joining a community, and then you go on repeat. That is that is the ecosystem. I mean, it's pretty simple. And when you look at the system, I see three major phases here: attract, convert, and support. And then we repeat. So attract customers, customers convert to buyers, and then you have support from the community. So hey, if you're joining in, put in the comments where you're from. I like to see where people are coming from. And we're talking about my business in a box that I have used to build my business from the ground up. And I just wanna I'm starting to promote it. I've had it for 2.5, 3 years. I wanted to learn the system and stuff before after I've learned the system, it's just has been so much knowledge and so much support that it's hard for me not to share. I have to share because it's in my heart that I know there's people out there just like me, over 50, trying to figure it out. Retirement's not where it should be. You worry about now, and that is that was one of my biggest fears was losing my job, and that's what has happened. And I'm just so blessed that I had this in my back pocket. Um, and it takes time. Yeah, I mean, building a business, it's one step at a time. You just can't. I started at the beginning of my life here. You just can't push a magic button and money. This box is going to open like a jack in the box and pop. It takes a lot of things in the back to compound this. But I also throughout this whole thing too is I've got my you can get all your income producing activities done within 2 hours of your day. 2 hours of your day to where then the rest of your day you can be learning something new. So I really love this because you can do it throughout the cracks of your day with the 2 hour work system. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but business in a box. So we're going to start with the first piece, the product. So every business needs something to offer. But Here's where I think a lot of beginners get stuck. They think I have to invent something nobody else has ever seen before. No, that's not the case. You need to understand what problem is being solved, what transformation is being offered, and what does the customer need. In my case, I wrote a program that teaches people skills in a system related to building an online business. So I don't have to wake up every morning thinking, what in the world am I going to sell today? There is already an offer. Now, does that mean I don't have to learn how to market it? Absolutely not. You have to having a product and knowing how to communicate the value of the product are two different things. And that brings us to the next part, which is the message. So when you do the message, your product is what you offer. Your message is why somebody should care. That distinction changes the way I look at content because people do not wake up every morning saying, I hope somebody sells me an online course today. No, absolutely not. They wake up and I'm tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I am, I'm worried about retirement. I'm scared of running out of time. I want more freedom. Um, I want to build something on my own. I know I have experience, but I don't know how to turn it into income. That is where your message comes in. My message is not simple. My message is not simply, hey, buy this program. My message is about the person who is standing at the beginning of their second act. The person who has spent decades building someone else's dream. The Gen Xers who are looking into retirement and thinking, I should be further ahead than I am. The person who has been through job loss. The empty nester asking, what is next for me? The person over 50 wondering, am I too old to start something new? That is the message. And your message should make the right person think, oh, she understands what I'm going through. So that is your message. That is the message of what are you solving for for your person. So let me ask you this. How many of you are over 40? Put 40 in the comments. Over 50? Put 50 in the comments. If you're over 60, put 60. And if you're younger than that, you're welcome here too. We got a mixture. Wow. I think the oldest is 68. So that I'm proud of you. I am proud of you. Yes. Yes. Okay, so let me ask another question. How many of you have ever thought, I know I need another source of income, but I have no idea where to start? Put start in the comments. Put start in the comments. Yes. Yes. Yep, we're getting a lot of stories. The next piece of the ecosystem is one of the most powerful. Your story. Stories is the most powerful because people can forget facts, they can forget statistics, but they remember how a story made them feel. And you do not have to have the perfect dramatic success story. Start telling your own story. Your story can be why you started. It can be what you were afraid of. What mistakes I have made throughout life. What did you learn? What did you believe 6 months ago that you no longer believe today? What moment made you realize something needed to change? When did you hit that wall? For me, I have story. My story is for more than 35 years in corporate America. I have stories about starting over. I have stories about losing a job. I moved from a different state to another state to take this last job and it didn't work out. I have stories about building my business while I was figuring things out in real time and even battling breast cancer at the same time. And here's the important part. Your story is not your destination. Your story is your bridge. That's what bridges you together. So you tell your story so the person listening can see themselves in it. The goal isn't, look at me, I have this product, you better sell it. Better sell it to me. The goal is, if I can take another step, maybe you can too. That is what the goal is. It's not sitting out here, buy my product, get my product, boom, boom, boom. No. It is to help the person, your perfect customer, to think, hey, she gets me, and to take that next step. Because if she can do it, why can't I? So that is very important. So if you're just joining in, but where you're coming from, we're talking about a business in a box, business in an ecosystem that I use to create my business from scratch and build it up. So I want everybody to be I want everybody to get the same message as if you're coming in. We're going through the ecosystem part by part. We've already talked about the product, the message, the story, and now we're going to talk about the content. Now that we have got our story and our message, we have to turn that into content. So like this, TikTok Live is content. You should post, I say normally 3 times a day. You should post a 7 second video, a 30 second video, and a minute video. But I've kind of seen a little shift going on too. Instead of do a do a 30 second or do your 7 second and your 1 minute and then do a picture post. And like your 7 seconds, you can just take your phone, and I mean, please tell me you can do this. You take a phone, you get it up on video, you sit here, you hit record, and you just sit here like you're recording. Record that for 7 seconds, then go in and edit and put text on the screen. That is your 7 second video. So it's not it's not that hard. It's pretty simple. If not, do 7 seconds of one of your animal, your dog or your cat or something like that. But then put the text on the screen. So now that we have our videos, you can do a YouTube training as content, which I now have a YouTube channel. Um, and I have some of my trainings that I have created on there. So you have an email is content made a mistake. And maybe some of you are making that same mistake too, is I thought the goal was simply to post more. Post, 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 post. Content has no purpose. So each piece of your content should have a job. Maybe the job is to get attention, to build trust, to teach something, to tell a story. Maybe the job is to challenge a belief. Maybe a job to invite someone to take the next step. That is why the ecosystem matters. So instead of asking, what's going to post today? Start asking, where does this content fit in my customer's journey? That is a completely different question. So instead of asking, what should I post today? Think about your perfect customer. And I do have another training. It's on my YouTube channel of how to get content to convert and stuff like that. So that's a whole other thing as well. But we're at the ecosystem because that is so. Don't ask yourself what kind of content fit in my customer's journey. Where does it fit in my customer's journey? If you're coming in, but where you're from, we're talking about business in a box, the ecosystem that I have used to get a business built from scratch on up to where I am now. So we're going to talk about now the CTA, which is a call to action. Okay, so the call to action, you can create the greatest content in the world, but if people do not know what to do next, Many of them just simply scroll on by. You have to have a strong hook, teach them something, or something that's going to keep their attention, and then a strong CTA or call to action. So a call to action can be follow me or comment a keyword. Uh, get a free resource, join my email list, watch the training, attend a webinar, ask me a question, take the next step. Don't put on your call to action buy now. In fact, especially when people are first discovering you, that that may not be the right next step. Because sometimes the next step is simply, let's continue the conversation. That is where we cross the bridge from social media into your next side of the ecosystem. So that is where, so now we've talked about the product, the message, the stories, the content, and the call to action, right? So here we're going to move on over. So if you're joining in, welcome. Breaking down what I call the business in a box. So we've already, like I said, talked about the product, the message, stories, content, and call to action. Those pieces help us attract and connect with the people. So that is the one side of the ecosystem. So we already have the product. We have to get our message clear. We have to get our stories, our content, and then our strong CTA. So then this here, what is, those all help us attract and connect with the people, right? But now the question becomes, what happens after somebody is interested? What happens after somebody is interested? Because followers alone, they do not create a sustainable business. Views alone do not create a sustainable business either. So we need a way to communicate the relationship. So we're going to talk about the email list. And I'm going to tell you email equals income. This here is your biggest asset, is your email list. Social media is amazing. TikTok, I love TikTok. I love YouTube platforms. And algorithms change, reaches change, accounts can have problems. So one goal of the ecosystem is to give interested people the opportunity to join your email list. Email equals income. Email equals income. So that is where now with this email address and immediately start screaming, buy, 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 buy. No, no, this means that you continue the conversation. You provide them value. You show them, you share information with them. You tell your story. You invite them to learn more. You help them make an informed decision about whether what you offer is right for them. That email list becomes an important part of the ecosystem that nobody is ready to make a decision the first time they see your video. You think about your own buying behavior. Sometimes you watch someone for weeks. And I watched I watched Michelle for probably 3 months before I had got my card out. Well, I didn't get my card out. I I bought it on a payment plan. So that is, it took me watching her for 3 months to finally pull the plug and say, okay, I'm going to do this in the crevices of my day and slowly build this and learn this. So if something does happen, I have something in my back pocket. And that's exactly what I did. So if you're joining us, we're talking about building a business in a box. Put where you're coming from, so I know exactly because I will go back and read every one of these comments and things like that. So I like to see that. So you're like I said, your email list becomes your most important part of the ecosystem because not everybody's ready to make that decision. I was not ready to make that decision for the first, for about 3 months. Like I said, think about sometimes you watch your months or you read their emails, you watch their videos, you learn from them, you decide whether to trust them. That relationship is what matters. You put my email in, I watched her, and then I pulled the plug and I put my email in, and yes, I had emails sent to me, and I read every one of them, and that is, and finally I've watched her and I followed her on TikTok, and it was all right. I'm going to do this. I can build something that I can leave a legacy for my family once I'm gone, because after fighting breast cancer twice in the last 7 years, life is too short. You never know. You go through that mindset of you hear those words, you've got cancer. It changes your whole perspective on things. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me, but this ecosystem, I'm telling you, has been my saving grace, because like I said, I purchased it 2.5, 3 years ago, and I have slowly learned the system and how everything works, because I was buying course after course after course, and nothing was making sense to me. I didn't know how to do a sales funnel. I didn't know how to do this. And it just got so overwhelming that I mean, I started looking on the online space probably 8 years ago, and I started doing and trying to piece it together, and then that's when I found the legacy. Every course, and even after I bought the legacy, I was still buying courses everywhere. And I still kept coming back to the legacy because that has shown me how to build an ecosystem, business from scratch, to where I can sustain that business, and I can pivot where I want to pivot. I can create courses, and I can create digital products to help people, and that is what I do. My job in corporate America helps people, and now I'm still helping people, but I'm helping them in a different path because I know that is my purpose. So, if you're joining us, put in the comments where you're coming from. So, we're going to talk about the weekly webinars. So, inside this ecosystem, so you you get webinars to where you can send your potential customers. There is a weekly webinar back and forth. I mean, you don't know what days it is because we we have them back and forth between Wednesdays, Fridays. We have them at 11 Central Standard Time. We have them at 7 Central Standard Time, because this business in a box is a global system. It is There is people in South Africa that are using this system. There's people in the UK that is using. This is a global ecosystem, and it is wonderful. So so you get a potential lead. So like I tell you, if you are interested, put blueprint in the comments. Put box in the comments. My CTA, and then this here, when your potential customer gets into your email system, then you can send, once they get into the email sequence of things, then when a webinar comes up in the community, then you are given, I mean, it's not no easier than this. You get the emails. All you got to do is copy and paste them into your system and send them to your potential leads. With everything, Zoom link and all that stuff is already in. All you got to do is copy and paste. That's all you have to do. And that gives them something where they can go deeper. It's a 30-second TikTok can't explain the entire business. Even a 3-minute video has limitations. A webinar gives someone an opportunity to sit down and understand what this is, how does it work, what does the program include, what skills do you need to learn, what does the process look like. This is something that fits. You can ask yourself, does it fit my goals? This is why education is so important. I don't believe in trying to force everyone into something. Not every opportunity is the right for each person, but people should understand what they are considering. They should ask questions. They should look at their own situation and they should make their own decision. That webinar helps people get the bigger picture of this ecosystem. So that is another tool that is inside of this Business in a Box. And I mean, I love the community support. We're gonna talk about that as well. And you're not doing this alone. And that was one of my biggest things that I was, like I said, I built this as I was still working in corporate America, behind the scenes kind of thing. I wanted to learn how this all pieced together because yeah, I can go get a product and do a review on it. Okay, you're gonna do one video. It doesn't mean everybody, that one video is gonna go viral. So I wanted to learn because you should learn something new every day. Yes, that's the Gen Xer in me and me talking. But yes, you should learn something new every day. So if you're joining in, put in the comments where you're coming from. And I'm gonna ask people, is this all starting to make sense? Put yes in the comments if you're understanding and sticking with me. I'm getting a little. So now we're going to talk about the customer. Notice how many steps happen before this point. So we got the product, we got the message, we got the stories, we got the content, we got the CTAs, we got the emails, we got the education, which are the webinar, and then the person decides. So that is why I want people to stop thinking that every video that does not immediately produce a sale is a failure. A person may watch 10 of your videos. They might attend your lives, just like you guys are. They might read your live emails. They may watch that webinar, and then they make that decision. Business is about relationship and trust, and we are in a trusted economy right now. So that is the one thing that you have to people do not buy unless they know, like, and trust you. Okay? So now I also want to say something else that's important. No legitimate business opportunity can generate, or it cannot generate, it cannot guarantee that every person will make a certain amount of money. No legitimate business opportunity can guarantee that every person is going to make a certain amount of money. Results vary. Some people some people can get it right out of the gate. Some people it takes more, but your effort matters. Your skills matter. Consistency matters. Your audience, your execution. The purpose of this system is to provide the structure and education, not to guarantee the outcome. Okay? That is where, like, inside this ecosystem, I mean, this is just this is just the business in the box. And what I'm going to talk about next, when we talk about the community part of it, that is one of the most powerful things. So you have the front end and then you have the ecosystem, your email list and all that stuff. So once you've already got your product, you've already your message, your stories, your content, your call to action. You have that already. Your person now has went into your email, into this system that is built for you, this ecosystem. So when you purchase this ecosystem, you are purchasing the capture page, the sales funnel, the email follow-ups, everything in that ecosystem so you don't have to do that part of it. You learn how to do all that. So if you're joining in on here, in here in the comments where you're coming from, because we're talking about business in a box. You know, we're breaking it down, ecosystem that connects, its leads, customers, and community into one system. It's awesome. We're getting ready to talk about the community part of it, and it is just, I'll do a recap once I'm done. But I wanna talk about, this is my one of my favorite parts is the community, because getting a customer should not mean thank you for your money, good luck. It's not what it's about. This is something I care deeply about. And people need support. They need a place to ask questions. They need the education. They need the encouragement, the accountability. Sometimes they need somebody to say, hey, you're making this harder than it needs to be. Focus on one thing first. That is what so many beginners, so many people get stuck and they're not in the right mindset. And that's why this community is part of this ecosystem, because the goal is not simply a transaction. The goal is to help people implement what they are learning. And that is what I am so grateful for, because that is how I am building my second act community around this idea as well. Yes, I want people to have a place where they can learn, they can grow, they can ask questions, and build alongside other people who are also creating their next chapter. I have created the Second Act Income community, and that is I started it with helping women over 40 get kind of pivoted a little bit because there is not a whole lot of men out there that are doing this as well. So it's something that's and single father widows, things like that. I mean, they can learn this as well too. That is, I want people to have a safe place, and this community inside this ecosystem is a safe place. I mean, that is where I got so many of my questions answered, because you can go inside, type in the chat bar or in the search bar, I'm looking for, and boom, there is all kinds of people that has struggled with this, and then people commented on this, and that's how I got a lot of my questions answered, was through that community. That is awesome, and that is why I'm building my second act community, so I can help beginner friendly people, or people who don't know if this is the right fit for them or not. I have created different digital products. If you want to take a look at the different digital products that I have available right now, there in my bio. There is, and I'll show it to you real quick. Right here in my bio, there is a link right there, and you tap that link, and I'll show you when you tap that link, it does come up with, get focused here. It does come up with that, and that is totally normal. For you to do that, it's just going to take you out, and then that'll take you to my storefronts, and there's the different products that I have already, and there's also the opportunity to join my community as well, and then the legacy orders. If you want more information and get that blueprint, just go in there and put your email in, and I will send you the blueprint that I exactly followed. And then if you have any questions, then you can reply to that email, and it'll come right to me, and I will answer any questions that you have. But we're going to go on. So we talked about the community. So we have went through all this. And finally, it is repeat. You do not have to post 3 TikToks and declare that the business model doesn't work. Okay? You continue learning. You improve your message. You get better with telling your stories. You get better with your content. Yeah, I would love to tell you Go back to my TikTok when I first started it, but I had to start a brand new one because mine went away. Um, and it was like, I wish I had that to go back and look at. Because 2, 3 years ago, when I started posting content, it was I would love to be able to see the difference now. So you get better at your call to actions. People start asking questions and start engaging with you. It is a business. It's not perfection. You learn, you adjust, you improve, and you repeat. And that's what you do. So that is mm, I will give you some more of what I do when I post content. I batch content. So I create all my content for the week. That's what I do. Will Wherever I'm filming at, I have everything set up. Record 2 videos. I'll go change my shirt. I'll record 2 videos. Yeah, and I go back and forth and I batch create it. So then when, like I said, 2 hour workday, 30 minutes is answering emails or any information. Because my mind just went blank. Whew. I answer emails or any comments that are on any of my things. I do my content. That's where I've already recorded it batch. I just go in and edit whatever video I'm doing, which takes less than 5 minutes. It takes less than 2 minutes actually, and I post it and I post throughout the day. Actually, I lied. I lied. Actually, I schedule my content. So for the week, once I'm done, I forgot all about that. Once I'm done filming, then I will sit there and I can my TikTok desktop or whatever. I load up my videos and I schedule. So it's all scheduled. And I'll tell you this right now: on the weekends, I do not go on social media. Do not go on social media. I record content, go lives or do anything like that, but I do not check my content. I will go live, but I will not do any of that, and very rarely do I go live on the weekends either. So, but if you're just tuning in, I just ran through the Legacy Builder ecosystem and see if I can make myself smaller here so you guys can see the whole ecosystem itself. So I want to put this whole process together. So this is the big recap, and then we'll open it up for questions and things like that. So you start with the product, decide the product. You develop a message that connects the solution to the right person. The story is what creates the connection. Then you turn your story into content. Then your content, you have to make sure you give your people a CTA or a call to action. Interested people then will join your email list. And then once they're in your email system, then they can attend a webinar or a training to learn more. So then they decide if they're going to become a customer. And then they receive their support through the community, just if you purchase, you're going to go in the community and your customer will get the same support that same community. And then you continue the process. You know, continue on. Product, message, stories, content, CTAs, email list, webinar, customer, community, and then repeat. That is why I call this business in a box. Not because there is no work involved, but because you can see how the pieces all fit together. Okay? Maybe your problem isn't that you're incapable of building an online business. Maybe your problem is that you've been collecting random pieces like I did. You have Canva, you have ChatGPT, you have TikTok, you bought 3 courses, you've downloaded 47 PDFs, you have 200 videos saved, and you have a half finished funnel. You have an email platform, but you don't know how to use it. You have 5 different business ideas, but you don't know which one to do, and you're exhausted. Sound familiar? That is exactly where I was a couple years ago. I was so exhausted, overwhelmed, frustrated. But that pieces in the comments if that was you, because that was me. I don't know how many courses I bought, how many PDFs I downloaded, how many saved videos I saved on different social media. I do have Canva, I do have Chat GPT. I was exhausted. Yes, there's a lot understood. What was my product? What is my message? Who am I talking to? What stories do I tell? What content, I create? What is my CTA? Why am I, where am I going to send people? How do I follow up? How, education, support. I mean, when all those answers, all those questions got answered, you know, I was just, whew. I mean, that was a breath of fresh air when I found this ecosystem so I could understand and put these pieces together so I know what they're doing. So I want to speak directly to my Gen Xers and my over 50 crowd for the moment, because this is something that is near and dear to me. I know I've had the same feelings. I've thought the same thoughts. So I want you to know that you are not starting at zero. You have decades of experience. You have solved problems. You have learned skills. And you have survived things that you never thought you would survive. You've made mistakes. You have lessons. You have stories. The challenge may not be that nobody ever taught you how to take what we know and connect it to the digital world. And that is what I am learning to do in my second acts. And that is what I want to help other people learn. I'm not standing here pretending that building an online business happens overnight. Not at all. I'm building too. I'm still learning. I'm improving. But I would rather learn how to build something of my own than spend the rest of my life believing my only option is to depend completely on somebody else's for my income. So for me, that is what the second act is all about. It's not about pretending the first act didn't happen. It's about taking everything I have learned and using it to build what's coming next. So if you've been listening to this and thinking, Carrie, I want to understand the ecosystem better, comment box in the chat. If you want to learn about the blueprint and the program I promote, comment blueprint. And if you're not ready, follow me, subscribe, follow me, come back, watch the content, ask questions, learn. Like I said, go in there, put your email in, and any questions, hit reply to that email, and I will be right there answering any questions you have, because I want you to understand what you're doing before you make that decision on building a business. I want to make sure you understand it. Okay? All right. Now I want to open it up for questions. Ask me anything about the ecosystem, the program, content, building your email list, webinar, the community, or just starting an online business after 50. While you put your questions in the comment, let me quickly recap for everybody who just joined us. Talking about business in a box, the ecosystem built around your product, your message, your stories, your content, your call to action, your email list, webinar, customer, community. Repeat. This point is not that the box magic. That the point is that this framework, the pieces of an online business all connect. Alrighty. Uh, all right. Yes. This whole system here, once it's all, so what it is, it's a one-time, this program itself, you purchase the program, there's different levels to come in. So you have 1, 2, 3, 6, 9, and 14. And so you have a one-time investment fee, and then you have a one-time site fee, which then it sets up the whole ecosystem for you. Then there inside the community is a whole section on how to set up your system step by step. It is wonderful. Wonderful. Step one, do this. Step two, do this. It is awesome. So you can basically you can have your system, depending on how techy you are, had people have their system set up within 2 hours. For others, it's been a little bit longer because once you get your domain, times it takes some IO to uh, your to make sure that it's connected. Sometimes it takes longer on that. Some people have success and boom, it's I know mine it took like for it. There's step-by-step guides inside the whole program, and that's what I loved about it because I mean Michelle pours into us every single week. A Legacy Builder training every Monday at 11 Central Standard Time. We have that. We have tech calls. We have speakers that come in, and that's what I'm kind of modeling her community. As that's what I want to do. Is once 30 people get into my community, then it'll become a paid community because I want to love on those 30 people. And if you want to join in, then you'll have to pay to get that. But those 30 people are grandfathered in, and I want to love on them and help them build their business. So we will start having guest speakers, and we'll go from there on what problems that they're having inside there. So yeah, so that is basically the webinar explains a lot better. But you have you invest in yourself, you buy a program, whatever level you want to come in, which then whatever level you came in, that's what then you can promote to get your customers while you are building your business in the background. You have a one-time set a website fee, which is your whole ecosystem, capture page, the sales page, and your emails. And then you also have 15, 30 or 15 follow-up emails on your system that you don't have to, the system works for you 24/7. So there's nothing better than, 4 o'clock in the morning, you don't know what happens, but you wake up, and you see the email had come in at 4 o'clock in the morning. In content training that we just had inside of by this program, content to connect was awesome. It revamped it for myself, and there is. I actually have a video on one of my social media channels that teach you how you have to get very deep with your customer. You give them a name. What are their struggles? What is their environment like? Do they have kids? I mean, you have to visually. So when I have Misty. Misty is my perfect customer, and when I make my content, I am sitting at a kitchen table or sitting on the couch or whatever, but I am speaking directly to her. So that is, I mean, you have to get it to where, I mean, hey, Billy Bob is wearing a blue shirt with jeans or whatever, one of her kids. I mean, you have to have it so pinpointed down on that's what creates content is knowing that perfect customer. So so yeah, but like I said, building email lists, email equals income. So that is, so what I do, I now send out a weekly newsletter. So every week, normally on Wednesday, to all my potential leads, customers that I have, email list gets my newsletter of, I learned this week, was anything new I that I learned that was, is going to be useful for people, help them along. So yeah, creating content. I mean, there's also inside that program there is a one on how to do it faceless if you do not want to show your face. Hey, it's so much fun. Come on, right here. Alrighty, so I'm gonna leave this live here, but I just want to close and say, good questions. Thank you for being on the live. Just want you to know you do not have to have your entire future figured out before you begin, but you do need a direction. You need to know who you want to help. You need a message. You need a way to reach people. You need the next step, and you need a system that connects those pieces. And that's what I mean when I talked about the business in a box today. Your second act doesn't have to look like your first. You learn new skills. You can build something different. You can take your experience and use it in a new way. But the key is stop collecting random pieces and start building an ecosystem. If you want to learn more, comment blueprint. Make sure you follow me because I'm going to continue breaking down every part of this ecosystem. You know, thank you for spending time with me. And remember, you are not starting over. You are starting with experience. So I'll see you on the next live.